Okay. Okay. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's possible learning, we should have Bais Mikdash immediately. Today we're going to start a few Daled, that's 14a. Now on 14, we're down about 11 lines, I think. Let's see. 11 lines. Okay, it starts like this. I guess before we begin, we should just mention that there was a statement by Rav. Is it Rav Huna Rav? Yeah, Rav Huna Rav had a statement from Rav Huna in the name of Rav. It said that if someone says to his friend that you owe me money, but instead of paying me, pay it to Levi. So we said that it's automatically transferred to Levi. The debt is automatically transferred. If it was said in front of the three people, one that lent the money, which let's say that's Ruvain, and Shimon owes the money. Instead of paying Ruvain, Shimon has to pay it now to Levi. If that statement was said in front of Ruvain, Shimon, Levi, Ruvain says it, so then it's automatically transferred. Okay. Amalei Rav l'Ravacha Bardala. Rav says to Ravacha Bardala. I'm not sure where the name Bardala comes from. Sounds like an animal. It was an animal in the Gemara, Bardala. Thank you. Good morning. We're holding Yudalad. We got Gemaras over here. Bunch. So Rav says to Ravacha Bardala, he says, Kaba de Marikis legabach. There's a kav. Kav is a measurement of approximately the size of 24 eggs. There's a kav of saffron that I have that's by you. In other words, you owe me a basket of saffron. Now, today that's a very expensive. But years ago, apparently that was very common and was not expensive, as we'll see in the Gemara. Well, 24 eggs sounds like a lot. Yeah, the way that stuff looks like powder, like that. So, Yavis Laplani, he tells him, give it to so and so. And I'm saying it in front of him, so that I don't retract. Now, the way the Gemara is understanding this is that I promise that I won't retract. So he's actually promising that he won't retract from this arrangement that he made. Acha Bardala owes it to Rav. Ravacha Bardala owes it to Rav. Rav is saying, give it to someone else. And I'm saying it in front of him so that I won't be able to retract. Because I'm promising that I won't. Now, Michlal, that implies that if he would want to retract, he would have been able to. It's just because he promised. Gemara says, no. You misunderstood what he meant. He meant, not that I'm promising that I won't retract. I'm not able to retract because I said it in front of the three people. And the rule it's called Maimed Shlashtan, that when I said Shimon owes Ruvain money, and Ruvain says, pay it to Levi, and if he says it in front of Shimon and Levi, so then it's automatically transferred. The debt is automatically transferred. The mechanism for that kinyan is not explained. Like Gemara said before, there's one of the things that we don't have an explanation for. But the sages said that that's how it works. So that's how it works. But we don't have like a real kinyan there. It's just like he's just saying words. He's just saying you pay it to him. And it's well, he can always be Meichelet, but it's not, doesn't go back to Rav anymore. That was transferred over. It has a new owner, and without any kinyan, without lifting up anything, like the way things normally work. Well, anyway, that means he can't retract. Rav can't retract because he already gave it over to someone else. Gemara asks, so Amar Rav Chadazimna, but Rav said this already. Rav Huna said, Rav Huna says in the name of Rav. Rav Huna was the main student of Rav. He says, Manali biyadcha. Someone says, you owe me money. You have a mana of mine in your hands. Teneo leila plani, give it to so-and-so. Which our case was Reuven tells Shimon, give it to Levi. But my mitzlashtan, with all three are standing there. Kana, Levi acquires it. So we already have the statement of Rav. If Rav was telling me that he promises and something, and that's why he's not fine. But Rav here is just teaching me a halacha that of my mitzlashtan, we already know. Rav Huna said in the name of Rav, my mitzlashtan, we already have that. Why does Rav have to teach me this halacha again? So the answer is, if it would just be from the statement that Rav said to, and Rav Huna said it over, I would have thought that's only when it comes to a big amount of money that it would need to be b'maimed shlashtan. But if it's a small amount of money, it doesn't need to be even in front of the people. It could have been even without that third person there. I just said, give it to him. Kamash Malan, that it needs to be in front of the three people. That's what it seems is the pshat over here. Okay. It's coming to tell me that even if it's a small amount of money, basically saffron back then was not so expensive. Hanu Ginai, the Avid Chushbana Bahadi Adadi, there were these gardeners that made a calculation of what each of them were owed or what each of them had, how much money they earned. It turned out that because there was this group of gardeners, maybe there's 3 gardeners there, I don't know, but turned out that one of them had 5 istri zuzi, which are small coins. Rashi tells me that istri zuzi is a quarter, is a half a dinar. It's a half a dinar. Dinar is a zuz. It's a half a zuz. So 5 half zuz. Okay. Well, it's like $50. They had these extras. That's 250 cents. It has this money that turned out in their calculations belonged to all of them, but one of them had some extra. Oh, really?
Apparently it was less than a cow, but it was like they used to call it a cow.
In the Quran, Hillel shows me that when it says a kav of maraika, which is saffron, it wasn't really a kav. It meant a loaf of saffron, and it was much smaller than a kav. Okay. Well, one of them ends up with the extra money. Amrilei, so they tell this person, Yavinu nale la'ara, ba'api mariara. Now, I think the Bach adds in betaska. Taska sounds like a tax. Does it say, what does it mention over there? You should give it. Basically, they told them, instead of splitting it with us, the money that you have that's extra, give it to the owner of the property, the owner of the land that we owe him anyway or something. So you'll pay that on our behalf. Do you have the word tax in it? As a property tax. Taska is also like a basket somewhere, but anyway, it's a property tax. And not only did they tell this to him, they said this in front of the property owner. So we already have a maimed shlashtan. We have the 3 people there. And also he makes a kinyan. Says, okay, and he lifts up some sort of cloth that says, okay, that's what he's going to do. He's going to pay it. L'soif, at the end, goes home and he counts the money, sees how much he really has. He did not have anything extra. He had, but everyone had. He comes in front of Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do for you? First of all, Rav Huna Marav, you already agreed. It's Maimed Shlashtan. They told you who to give it to. And they made a kinyan already. It's too late. Amalei Rava. Rava says to Rav Nachman, Rava is a student of Rav Nachman. He says, Atu, hi, Mika Amar La Yehivna. Did he say that he's not giving it? He never said that he's not giving it. What he says is the leka gabay kama, said that I don't have the extra that they claim that I have. It wasn't that it was a question of does he have to or does he not have. The question is, was this a mistake or not? He's claiming that the whole thing was a mistake. Amalei, Rav Nachman says him Cain, kinyan b'toyasu. Then, if it's a mistake, then that's a different story. A kinyan that's made on a mistake, you can go back on that. The kinyan that's on a mistake is not it's not a real kinyan. You're thinking of a case where if it's a mistake, then it was a mistake. Okay. Itmar, we have another statement. Someone says, let's say a borrower, in our case, it would be Shimon, says to a shliach, take this money to Reuven. Yeah, makes sense? Shimon owes Reuven money. That's the way Reuven lends Shimon money. Shimon now owes it. So Shimon has to give it back. So he tells someone that's headed in that direction. He says, take this money. Money is 100 coins. Take this coins to Reuven that I owe him. I'm a Rav. So Rav says, Chayev Bachar Yusay. Shimon that's trying to pay back his debt is not freed from his obligation until the money reaches Reuven. The whole time that he gave it to the messenger, he's still responsible because he owes that money to Reuven. He's not freed from that until Reuven receives it. Now, together with this, there seems to be a contradiction. But Rab goes on and he says, and if he wants to retract, he can't retract. That means Shimon is sending money to Reuven. Until the money reaches Reuven, Shimon is still responsible. Shimon sees the guy. He says, you know what? I want to send it with someone else. Can you give it back to me? The guy says, no, I'm not giving it back. And he can't give it back because it's as if this fellow, the shliach, has accepted it on behalf of Reuven. And now it's already like in Reuven's possession. So it seems to be like self-contradictory. If it's in Reuven's possessions, then why is Shimon still responsible? But whatever the case is, that's what's going on here.
It could be a difference.
Yeah. Who sent the shliach? Yeah, 100%. You see here, Sylvia is pointing out that the messenger here is not coming from Reuven. Reuven is the one that lent the money and is the creditor. The messenger here is coming from Shimon, who's the borrower. And until the borrower gets, if Reuven would have sent the messenger, then
the borrower said the messenger. Usually, it's the lender.
Yeah, but here the borrower is an honest guy. He wants to pay back. He says, "I owe Reuven money. Can you please bring the money to Reuven?" Yeah, you're right. Usually, Reuven sends the money, sends the messenger to collect the money.
Oh, to collect the money.
That would be usually the case. In this case, Shimon wants to pay back on his own, and
He wants to pay early.
but they say never lend money to friends. You may lose them both.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not a Jewish statement. So Rav says Chayev Bachar Yusay. Shimon is responsible until the money reaches Reuven. And if Shimon says, you know what, give me the money back, I don't want to send it right now, or I'm going to send it with someone else, the messenger does not give it back. We're going to go into a discussion if when he says hoylech, which means take this, if he really means acquire on behalf of.
And the reason is because it's money owed, so therefore it's an obligation anyway.
But yeah, but if it hasn't been paid back, he should be able to take it back. There's a self-contradictory problem here because if it's considered paid back,
right?
To Reuven, in other words, if the messenger acquired it on behalf of Reuven, then why is Shimon responsible? It's in Reuven's possession.
Right.
And if it's not in Reuven's possession and Shimon's still responsible, so why can't he take it back? He's still responsible. It's under his responsibility. He should be able to say, I'm not paying it now. I'll give it to someone else to pay it or whatever. So that's Rav's view. Shmuel Amar, I'm sorry? about 25, 625. Yeah, a little before. Shmuel says, if you're going to tell me that he's responsible for the money until it reaches Ruvain in Balachsa, then obviously he should be able to retract if it's under his responsibility. So Shmuel is much more consistent here. Shmuel says that it's not been given to Ruvain, and Shimon is responsible, and Shimon can retract. Lema b'hakamiflagi. Let's say that they're actually arguing about the following: that there's a machlekes here.
I don't see the issue of Ruvain withholding the money because he's going out to collect.
The Ruvain is sitting at home.
The part with Shimon, I get.
Reuben is sitting at home. Shimon is put the money together that he owes Reuben.
Mhm.
He finds a guy that's traveling to Reuben's town.
Yeah.
He says, take the money.
Right.
So then before the guy leaves, Shimon tells him, you know what? I found someone else.
Right.
I want to take the money back. So Rav says he can't take the money back.
Mm-hmm.
And Shmuel says he can.
Mhm.
So both of them hold that until the money reaches Reuben, Shimon is still responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much more consistent with Shmuel than it is with Rav. According to Shmuel, he's still responsible. He can still take it back as well. But according to Rav, it's as if the Reuven has acquired it already, and nevertheless he's still responsible. Shimon can't take it back. So Lema Bakamifagi, let's say that this is the machlekes. The Marsav, this master holds, which means Rav holds, Haylech Kazachidami. When he says take the money, he means acquire on behalf of. That's what it's similar to. So it's as if he acquired it already. So the question is, so why is he still responsible? So what Tuvia said is that he's still responsible because he gave it to someone that was not necessarily the person that Reuven would have wanted his money in the hands of. So if Reuven would have sent the messenger, then that would have been different. But
Right.
if Reuven would have said, send it with him, that would have been different. But he chose anyone. He's right. It's still under his responsibility, even though the person is still acquiring it on behalf of Reuven. So there's still something there, which is a little bit odd.
They can take it back.
The fact that he can't take it back, and the person is the fact that the person is acquiring it on behalf of Reuven, that tells me that he can't take it back. The fact that he's still responsible for it means that he didn't really acquire it on his behalf. Anyway. Shmuel holds that no, when you say take the money, it's not like he said acquired on behalf of. It says you bring the money to him. When he receives it, then it's going to be his. Okay, Shmuel is very consistent. The Gemara says, like, it's not what's going on here. The Kuli Alma, everyone holds, everyone holds that when you say take the money, it's as if you said acquired on behalf of Reuven. Again, the machlekes here between Rav and Shmuel is the following. Mar Savar, this master holds, La Yamrin and Migu. We don't say Migu. Migu means just as, or since. Yeah. Migu in Bava Metzia means that because I could have lied, so now you have to believe me. But the word means since, or just as. So over here we're saying just as, because he's responsible. We don't say that because he's responsible for the money, therefore automatically he can take it back. Really, everyone holds that hoylech is kizachidami, that take the money means that the other person acquires it. But Shmuel says that since he's responsible for it, because the person never told him to give the money to this fellow, to the shliach. Since he's responsible for it, so automatically we say that mitaych or migu, that he's still responsible for it, he can also take it back. Rav doesn't say the migu. Rav says that hoylech kizachi, and we have this contradiction. Shmuel, in order to make to equalize, to neutralize that contradiction, so he says that you're going to be able to take it back. Yeah, because hoylech kizachi. The reason is hoylech kizachi. When you say take it, it means acquired on behalf of. But you're still responsible. Rav doesn't say that because you're responsible, you can also retract. Yeah, the responsibility is because the person didn't tell you that he wants it in his hand. Wait one little more piece. It's going to be clear in one case. We'll still have a question on the other case. But so Shmuel, in order to neutralize the contradiction, he says, Migu, since you're responsible, you can also retract. Even though the person had acquired on his behalf, but because he's still responsible, that overrides that. The responsibility, mitaych, the migu, that he's still responsible, allows him to retract, take the money back. Rav doesn't say that. Rav says, Hailach is kizachi. And we don't override that. When I said to take it to him, I meant acquired on his behalf.
He's responsible to pay. How is taking it back?
He's responsible if the money gets lost along the way.
Oh.
That's what I mean, responsible. It's a huge obligation.
I thought we keep on saying that nothing happens like until the end, like Adam at the end, or until it's why all of a sudden now we can't take it back. At the end, that's what happened.
Yeah, because when he gave it to him, he told the person that acquired it, he gave it to the messenger, told the messenger to acquire it on behalf of the lender.
Isn't that the guy who brings the gift to the woman from out of Israel? Isn't he also doing that to who delivers it?
So over there,
He's just a mailman.
over there, there was two types of messengers by a get. There's a messenger that's coming from the husband. He's called a shliach lahaylacha. He's bringing the get to the woman, and until the woman receives it, she's not divorced. Then there was a messenger from the woman, which is called the shliach lekabbalah, where this is on behalf of the woman. This fellow is going out and is going to receive the get on her behalf. As soon as he receives it, she's divorced. This shliach is, that's what we're discussing. We think that because hailach kazachi is as if it's a shliach lekabbalah, as if I'm borrowing that term, but it's as if he's receiving it on behalf of the lender. Now, if he's receiving it on behalf of the lender, then the person should not be able to take it back. Shmuel says he is able to take it back. Now, how does that come in? We're explaining because until the lender actually receives it, the borrower is still responsible. So therefore, we tell him that you can also take it back.
Yeah, if I owe you money, and I say, don't pay me back, I pay you back. That's so responsible to you. Because you accept it.
1 second. You're talking about if you have a debt to me, and he also has it. Yeah.
So I say, pay him back, pay you back.
Yeah. So then I think
Am I
it
still
leaves
responsible?
your responsibility.
Even though I transferred my
Yeah, I forget how it works.
it's almost the same thing, except
basically,
Yeah.
you still owe him money,
Um,
and so I pay him back. Right.
right
No,
here,
but who do I take out of court when I'm not paid back?
Take him to court.
Trying to get out.
Let's say we switch the.
Huh?
Okay.
If you accepted it, I said no problem.
I accept it.
And you take me to court.
But I have to then I take it. Yeah.
But you still-
I'm
This is
out
a
of the
Gemara somewhere. I
responsibility.
forget. It's Rav Nassan or something. There's a Gemara about this. That Misha.
he almost becomes like a shliach. Like in this
Takes
case.
over.
No, but
It
it's the
takes
same- it's
over
the same thing.
the
He's not paid
shibud,
back
the
until the
shibud
money
to-
gets repaid.
Yeah, it's similar to the Maimed Shlashtan where the shibud just moves over, transfers from one person to another. That's the recipient. You're looking at the other side, not the recipient, the one that owes it.
No, I'm looking at this case.
Yeah.
Trying to justify wrong.
So, yeah. So, what's going to happen is like this: Shimon, who owes the money, is no matter what happens, is going to need to pay Reuben the money. But in order to get the money, pay him, can he go to the messenger and get money out of the messenger for his negligence? That would depend on what type of watchman, what type of courier this person was. If he was paid, if he was, this Hashem Mechinim, Hashem Mesacha, then he would be able to get some money from the courier as well. Yeah, but whatever the case is, whether he gets that money or not, he's still responsible to pay back his debt. You can't tell the lender that, I'm so sorry, the money got lost, it was an accident. It doesn't exempt the borrower from paying back. The shliach that you sent it with can say, I'm sorry it got lost. But the borrower is always going to owe that money. You can't have an excuse. Yeah. If the post office loses the check, you're still responsible. You can make claims to the post office, and then either you get it or you don't. But, okay. Yeah, if you got insurance.
No, if you go to the post office, you pay like overnight express shipping, whatever, they're responsible.
I'm responsible for $100.
No, is that right?
Once they put the label on the post office, you say, I'm so sorry, I want to make a change.
Oh, when you stand in there?
No, when you already send it.
You pay?
Once you send it, then it's like very complicated.
And it's a federal crime.
Okay. Tanya Kavasei the Rav. We have a brisa that supports Rav. It says like this. Someone says, Shimon tells to a shliach, take this $100 to so-and-so, to Ruvain, because I owe him money. Tain mana leplani shani chayav lei. Or instead of haylech, he says tain. He says, give this money to that I owe him. Haylech mana leplani pikadon sheish li biyadi. Take this because I have a collateral or a pikadon, is a deposit. I was watching this. It belongs to him. See, this is a pikadon now. Ten mana leplani pikadon sheish li biyadi. Or instead of haylech, he says tain. He says, give it to him. Chayav b'achriyusay. Both of those cases, or all four of those cases, 2 cases of a loan, 2 cases of a pikadon, 2 cases are haylech or tain. He's responsible until it reaches Reuven. Bimbal achsar, if he wants to retract, in a chayzer, he can't take it back. So both sides of this. He's responsible and he also can't take it back. That's exactly what Rab's opinion is. Because then the Gemara says, if it's a deposit, something that he was supposed to be watching, so it's an actual item here. So when it comes to money, on money, the person takes the money, he borrows money, and he spends it. And then how does he get it back to him? However, he gets it back to him. But if you have something that you know is precious to you, and someone comes along, Shimon comes along and says, "Can I please borrow it?" You say, "Fine, but please take very good care of it." And then sending it back, you see the Shimon sends it back with some shmenchik, and he realizes that the guy is not going to be careful. So why shouldn't he tell him, "Give it back to me. I want to send it with someone else"? The owner of this item doesn't want it in the shliach's hands. He gave it to you. He wants you to bring it back. He told you to take care of it. So why shouldn't you be allowed to take it back? The Gemara is asking. Lei malei, you should be able to tell him that in Ritzayni Sheikh that the messenger, the owner of the item never wanted it in hands. I want to take it back. Amar Rav Zeir Kishach Sakafran. We're talking about where they can't. Why would in our case Reuven want it to be in the hands of the messenger? Because we're talking about where Shimon was a known liar, and he was denying it, and he already swore, and then he was caught lying. Now that he's giving it back, so Reuven would rather it be in the hands of the messenger, who he never appointed to be the messenger, than to be in the hands of this known liar. So we have a special case of why he can't take it back, because he's trying to rescue it from this person that's a crook.
What's up, Bailey?
Bailey is a shaymer. Yeah, someone discarding something for someone else.
Oh, that an halacha, now that becomes an halacha because
We say anan sadi. That even though he never said it clearly that he wants it to be in the hands of so and so, but we can say for sure with 100% certainty that this is what he would have wanted, even though he never told us that. We assume what the owner of it would have said. It's an answer. We are witnesses, as if we are witnesses that he said it, but it's all as if he never really said that. But we make that assumption. Sheshes Havali Asharta Desavli B'Mechuza. Sheshes had some debts for clothing that he sold to people in Mechuza. So Amar Lei Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama. He tells Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama. Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama is the father of Rava. Rava's name was Rava Bar Yosef Bar Chama. So he tells Rav Sheshes tells his friend Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama. He says, "You're going to Mechuza. You should know there's some people over there that owe me money for some shmatas, for some clothing. It's hardly something, some garments." He says, Rashi actually says coats. When you get there, collect the money from me. Yeah, you're going to Mechuza anyway. Bring me back the money that they owe me. Azal, so Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama goes to Mechuza. Mechuza was the city that he actually was from. I think Rava was from Mechuza. Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama probably is from Mechuza. They gave him the money. Amrilei, they said, Nikni Mana. We want you to acquire it, not just to bring it. We want you to acquire it on behalf of Rav Sheshes.
You should acquire it.
We want that you should take full responsibility. That Rav Sheshes should never be able to come back to us and say you never paid me. We want you should acquire. He's telling the shliach, acquire it, with take full responsibility, so that now it becomes your obligation.
The shliach is Rav Yosef.
Rav Yosef is the shliach.
He's the same blind Rav Yosef.
No, Rav Yosef, who was blind, his was Rav Yosef Bar Chia. That was actually also a friend of Rav Sheshes, but a different friend of Rabbah.
that means without opinion, he's not responsible.
They want him to make a kinyan, to become responsible.
Right. That means without opinion,
Without a kinyan, he's not responsible. Right? They're always going to be responsible. They owe the money. They owe Rav Sheshes, yeah. Rav Sheshes was also blind. Okay. Amar Lahu, he said to them, he says, yes, no problem. He never made the kinyan. He agreed, but he somehow finagled his way out of actually doing the whatever. Hachu, I need to use the bathroom. Somehow he never made the kinyan. He never made an acquisition that he takes full responsibility. He ended up taking the money without signing. Well, Yosel Gabi gets back to Rav Sheshes. Amalei, Rav Sheshes tells him, "Shaper Avdis, Shabbos Nafshach Eved Level Ishmalva." It's good what you did. You didn't want to be in that situation where you would become fully responsible. Eved Level Ishmalva, the borrower becomes a slave to the lender. It means if you would lose it, you would end up owing me money. You'd be like indebted to me. It was not a good situation. Lishnachrina, there's another version. Shaper Avdis, Eved Level Ishmalva. It's good that you didn't take responsibility. They, referring to the people that owe the money, it's their full responsibility to get it back to me. They're the leiva, they're the Eved Leiva Lishmalva. It's their responsibility. You don't have to mix into that. Right, exactly. Yeah. Ravache Bar Yoshia Havelei Ispika the Kaspa Benardai. he didn't take responsibility. And Rav Shesha said it's good he didn't take responsibility, even though it was his money, but he was giving him advice. Well, Rav Achi Bar Yosha has a ispeka, is this type of vessel. I looked it up in the gesture this morning. Amphor. What type of vessel do they say over there? It's like those old. Oh, it's silver. The Casper. It says that it's silver, but you know those like it looks like the oil jugs. They have a picture of it. Yeah. Amphora. That's what it is. Amphora. Amphora.
May West. Original code. What would you know?
Okay. So there's this bottle that belongs to him that's in Nardai. Silver. Amalul Rab Destoi Bar Yanai, Rab Yesi Bar Keeper. He tells to these two people, Rab Destoi Bar Yanai and Rab Yesi Bar Keeper, he says, Badi Dasi, Dasisu, since you're going there anyway, Asu and Ali, come bring it to me. Pick it up and bring it to me. Also, he went, Yavin Ale, and they gave it to him. Amri Lahu, they said to them, to Rab Destoi and to Rab Yesi, they said, Nikni Minaichu, take responsibility, that you're going to be responsible for it from now on. Amri Lahu, Lai. They said, no, we're not taking responsibility. We're just regular couriers. You're always going to be responsible. The messengers didn't. Oh yeah.
Messengers are never responsible. Like they're messengers told to exchange, to give the money.
The messengers were sent, but the messengers don't want to take responsibility. They just want to bring it back. And if anything happens to it, they want the sender of it to be responsible. We're doing a favor here. We don't want to take responsibility. Yeah.
Then they become responsible. They get money on insurance or payment. They're responsible for that.
Except there was a Gemara in Bavlitzia. It says that if a porter, something breaks something, they didn't hold him responsible if it wasn't negligent. Because no, you would never get anyone to move an item for you if you're going to be able to charge him for every scratch that he made. So there's a Gemara, even though technically he should be responsible, but in order for people to take the job as being a porter or a mover, they took off the responsibility off the porter. You should not have to pay because it was like impossible to get anyone to touch your items. I'm not doing it. It's like the doctors now get sued for unless they have insurance.
It comes out that it's kind of unfair for the person to pay it back and ask the person to pay it.
Yeah.
What he's trying to do is really not pay back.
Well,
asking they can,
well,
they, something that I'm not making money.
Right, right. Basically, I'm doing you a favor, and now you're making me, you're turning this into a liability for me.
Right.
Right.
You really don't want to send it.
Right.
That's why you have.
Right. So look, someone comes over to you into the airport and says, "Can you take the suitcase to New York or something?" Sounds like a bad idea, but then he tells you while you're at it, he says, "And also you're responsible." You say, "No, definitely not." Yeah. Okay, so Ahadre Nalon. So they said, "Okay, give it back." They didn't want to take responsibility. They said, "Okay, give it back to us." Rab the Stoiber, Rab Yani Amaloyan, he says, "Okay, take it back." Was he supposed to do that? I'm not sure. Not according to Rav, right? Once he takes it, he wasn't supposed to give it back. Rab Yosef Bar Keeper Amalu, Loi. Rab Yosef Bar Keeper says, "I'm not giving it back." I'm taking it and I'm not giving it back. So they started to cause him pain. They started to bother him. And I don't know what they were doing, but it seems like they were hurting him. Yeah. Yeah, that's a different job. Amalei, so Rab Destoi, I'm sorry. They tell to Rab Destoi, Chazimar, Echi Ka'avid. Look at what's happening. Look at what they're doing to him. This is what the people said. The people said because he's not giving it back to Rabbi Yosef Bar Kippur, that they're like pointing out what Amalahu, so the state says, Tav Ramaleh, yeah, go and hit him. He doesn't want to give it back. Yasser Gabe, finally, it doesn't tell us if they got it out of him or they're not, or they brought it back to Ravachi. Anyway, when they reach Ravachi, Amalei, so Rabbi Yossi says, Chazimar, look, Ravachi, look what just happened to me. Not only did Rab Destoi, he's complaining about his friend, not only did Rab Destoi not help me, Allah Amalud, Nami, Tav Ramalei, even said that it's good that you hit him. He sided with them. Amalei, so Ravachi says to Rab Destoi, why did you do that? Amalei, Amma. Those people are Amma. Amma means that they're strong. They're men of Amma. Someone wanted to explain when it says that Pare was an Amma. You know, the Medrash says that Pare was an Amma tall. You ever heard that Medrash? It was one Amma. Now an Amma is about 18 inches. So say that Pare was one Amma. It's strange. Someone wanted to explain that it's similar to this Gemara, where he was an Amma. That meant he was big. You know, exactly the opposite. They wanted to say that he had the what's the disease that Abraham Lincoln had?
No, he didn't have this. He was just
Tall.
and sneaky. People thought he had
Morphine.
Morphine.
But people have said that Parai, because it says that he was an Amma, and according to this Gemara, an Amma means big and tall. That yeah, but really it means that he was very tall and he was like Abraham Lincoln. And they actually found one of the pharaohs, I don't know, Akhenaten, and one of those guys that actually had this like long thing, and they think that he was the one. Anyway, okay. The Koivan their hats are big too. Interesting. Maybe it was the son. And they speak from their half, which means they have these deep voices. They speak like the Chazan. These are scary guys. The Shemasayim of Ohalim, and even their names are like confusing. Arda, Va'arta, Fili, Brish. So these were tough guys. They had tattoos. Huh? Yeah, there's even a fill in there. That's right. If they say to tie the guy up, they would tie him up. Harugu, they say to kill him, Hargan, the guy would get killed. So Ilu Hargu es Dustai, Minasan Liyana Yaba Bar Kamaisi, if they killed Dustai, which is talking about himself, they would have killed Dustai. Who's gonna give Yanai, my father, another son like me? Means who's gonna replace me? Yeah. Amalei, so Ravachi says, are they close to the government? He says, yes, they're close to the government. Do they have horses and mules that run after them? You know, there's some sort of wealth. So they say, he says, yeah. So it's good that you agreed to give it back. I don't know. Basically, was someone else's money. He has to be responsible. Says, take this money, a new case. He says, take this money to so-and-so. Bahalach, the guy arrives. This is the shliach, Bikshu. He's looking for Ruvain. He doesn't find Ruvain. Ruvain had already passed away. So Shimon sent money to Ruvain. By the time the messenger arrives, Ruvain passed away. Tanicha, the one brisa says, that you bring the money back to Shimon. And Yidach, the other brisa says, that you give it to Ruvain's inheritors. Say that this is the machlekes. The mar savar haylach kazafi and mar savar haylach lav kazafi. It depends. If you hold that when Shimon gives it to the messenger, he meant acquired on behalf of Ruvain, then Ruvain was still alive. So Ruvain had already really acquired it. By the time he arrives, Ruvain passed away, so the inheritors take over. That's Hoylach Kazachi. But if you say Hoylach Lav Kazachi, so until it reaches Ruvain, it's not Ruvain's. So it was really never given back. So therefore, he should take it back to the sender. It was never acquired by the inheritors because Ruvain never acquired it.
So it depends on what.
But they should acquire the debt.
Said.
So it depends. But it depends if, when he says take it, does he mean to say acquired on behalf of, or does he mean take it?
First of all, he owed money to this person.
It doesn't tell us if he owed it.
So we have
It's probably he didn't. Let's say he didn't know it. It makes more sense.
to just follow up our mission. The money we each
Yeah.
tiny we made, we give it after death.
That's because the sender died. The sender is on his deathbed. Shimon is on his deathbed. He says, I want you to give the money to.
Okay, I got it.
So then, and he died. But now it's the recipient dies, and the money never he never sees the money before he dies. So does he take it back to? So there's two prices
We're
here.
assuming that he was not owed money at this point, or he was owed money.
Let's assume that he wasn't owed it. It was just, if he was owed it, then I'm going to question, should it have been given? Let's say he was just saying give it. I don't know. Well, no,
If I
because
owe you money,
then you
then
have to
I still
pay
owe
a
you
debt
money.
to the inheritors.
Yeah.
So if Reuben dies and the money is back in town, shouldn't it go to the inheritors?
Correct.
Okay, so why does he say that it goes back to the? No, so let's say this money was not owed. This money was just a gift. If the gift was acquired on behalf of Ruvain by the messenger, then it now belongs to the inheritors. But if the gift was not acquired by the messenger, then the gift was never given to Ruvain. It always belongs to Shimon. So when Ruvain dies, it was in the interim. It never made it to Ruvain, so it should go back to Shimon. A debt, I assume. I mean, it's not telling me clearly, but I assume a debt would have to go to the inheritors. Yeah. Well, Tanyidach Liyashi, let's see. Tanyidach Liyashi Mishin Ishtalchlai. To the inheritors of the people of Ruvain. Lema Bakim Mefagi. Let's say the Machlek says the Marsa Vahilch Kizfi, Marsa Vahilch Lav Kizfi. And it depends if the messenger that's taking it is he acquiring it on behalf of Ruvain or not. Everyone holds that taking it is not acquiring it. When he says take it on behalf, it's not acquiring it for Ruvain. Like Kashyap, there's no question. It depends. If the person that was giving it is healthy, if he's healthy, then we say that you don't acquire it if the gifter is healthy. Then the messenger doesn't acquire it on behalf. But a shchiv meirah, if the person, the gifter, is on his deathbed, then it automatically goes over to because the words of a shchiv meirah are as if it's a kinyan. Yeah, only if it happens while he's alive. Right. Well, so in other words, kizachi, normally haylech is lav kizachi, but by a shchiv meirah it is kizachi. As if he acquired it. Both of them are talking about when he's on his deathbed. But the Islam Makab B'Shas Matan Ma'is, at less Makab B'Shas Matan Ma'is. Well, question is, was the person alive at the time when it was given? You see, even though it's a shchiv meirah, but if Ruvain had already died at the time the money was given over, then that's he's not acquiring it. Rav Papa Amar Hava Haba Bari. Rav Papa says they're both talking about a healthy person. Had the mis makabel b'chayin noisin, had the mis noisin b'chayin makabel. Okay, now what he's saying is like this: that even if Shimon is healthy at the time that he gives it to the messenger. But Shimon then died. And the rule is that mitzvah l'kayim divrei hamis is a mitzvah to fulfill the words of the deceased, even without being a shchid meirah. Shchid meirah has its own halachas regarding kinyan, acquisition, immediately takes place. But now the fact that he died, now I have a mitzvah to fulfill it. So that means that I'm supposed to take it to him, because that would be it's a mitzvah to fulfill the words of the person, of the deceased. So that's when Shimon dies. But if Shimon is still alive, then you bring it back to Shimon. Yeah, Shimon's giving it to Reuven, and Reuven dies. Shimon is healthy. No, the question is, does the messenger give it back to Shimon's inheritors, or does the messengers give it to Reuven's inheritors? So if Reuven died, if Reuven died while Shimon is still alive, Shimon dies by an accident. If Reuven dies while Shimon is still alive, then we take it back to Shimon. But if Shimon dies while Reuven is alive, then we take it to Reuven, because it's a mitzvah to fulfill the words of Shimon. I know, but then Reuven died. Then Reuven died, so you take it to Reuven's inheritance. Okay, let's leave it over here.
What if Shimon was actually and Reuven was borrowing from Shimon?
That would be this case as well. It would be the same case. Yeah, so it'd be like the gift. Is he giving him the?
Can we take back the loan?
Yeah, if. So according to this last answer, if he dies, and the borrower is still alive, the inheritors don't take it back, because they have a mitzvah to fulfill the words of their father.